and his teenage niece was was the leader of the boycott that black students in Prince Edward County staged, which ultimately ended up in that being one of the cases in Brown versus Board of Education. So I say all of that because I think that at least that should give you a linchpin as to the question as to whether the civil rights movement was planned or was it spontaneous. I'm going to turn the page. Next time I come down here, I'll give a little bit more on that. But I'm going to turn the page because there are a lot of people that ask me a couple other things I want to deal with before we have to leave tonight. Let me apologize in advance, but after I finish this, we will be getting out of here. The next time I come down, I've been promised I will come. We will deal with a lot of Q&As at that particular time. But a lot of people ask me about Tawana Brawley, and I at least want to explain what that was about for those who've asked. Tawana Brawley as many of us know, was a 15-year-old girl up in Dutchess County. And her whereabouts from Tuesday before Misgivings Day, some of us be giving out thanks, others be having misgivings. But on the Tuesday before Misgivings Day, Tawana whereabouts was not known. And when she was found the Saturday after Misgivings Day, and she stated then that she had been kidnapped by 6 white men. When she was in the hospital, she was asked to describe these men. She described them as being members of law enforcement. Now, when Tawana was found, all of the scientific records, as well as the technicians who found her, verified that they gave her certain tests to determine whether she was faking or not. And right on the medical records is written she was unconscious, smeared with feces, and KKK and other racial slurs were written on her body. The feces smearing could have been a part of a ritual, but more importantly, it was probably intended so that when the hospital attendants examined her, they would wash her off first because of the foul smell, which would then remove all traces of evidence of rape. And that is what they did. They washed her off thoroughly, and then after that, they sought to administer a rape kit to determine whether she had been raped or not. We'll give her a rape examination, and they determined that she had not been raped, but that determination followed them thoroughly washing her off, which nobody denied. So she was never given a rape test prior. The interesting thing, though, is that an investigator for an assistant district attorney who was in the arson squad of the DA's office his investigator was an arson investigator rather than a rape investigator, this arson investigator came to the hospital and got the rape kit. The person that he worked for, his name was Steve Pagonis. Steve Pagonis was identified as being in an automobile which also occupied Harry Chris and Scott Patterson and two other white men en route, they claimed, to Danbury, Connecticut 2 hours before Tawana was found. The mailman, however, said that he saw that vehicle at the same place that they subsequently found Tawana Brawley. This was in November of '87. From November '87 until the mid-January of '88, there was supposed to have been a thorough investigation going on by the Dutchess County District Attorney's Office. Steve Pagonis never mentioned what he ultimately revealed in January '88, and that is this. The mailman came to the DA's office to tell that he knew or had some information about a car with white men in it. When Steve Pagonis found out that this mailman had identified the car Harry Chris, whom he admitted being in that day, although he claimed he was en route to Danbury, Connecticut, he came forward at that point and told the district attorney's office that I know something about the Tawana Brawley case. I don't know where his memory was for the last 7 weeks, but after finding out the mailman had given some information, putting him in the automobile, he comes forward and says, I have some information. The DA's office said, what information do you have? He said 2 hours before this girl was found, Harry Chris and I, and Scott Patterson and Bronson and some other whites were en route to Danbury, Connecticut. Harry Chris at that time said, did you hear anything about that girl with feces smeared all over her? And the other people in the car said no. Now, nobody knew 2 hours before she was found that feces was smeared over her but the perpetrators. All right, nobody knew that. Now, the DA's office did not say what information they had, but the DA's office then at that point said that we can no longer prosecute this case, but never told the public why. Never told the public why.